Alright, we do a lot of videos about loot boxes and it's usually bad news. I mean, they're loot boxes, of course it is. But this time, it's not bad news. It's about someone taking loot boxes out of their game. See, this is good news. This is a good one.
Yay. Developer Phoenix Labs have recently rolled out the first major update for the free-to-play hunting brawler thing, Dauntless. The premise of the game is that teams of up to 4 players fight off against monsters, and being a free-to-play game, it's had loot boxes in it up until this point. Well, the game's recent update, Forge Your Legends, brings with it a new tutorial, a Halloween-themed event, and most importantly, it ditches current loot box-based microtransaction model. Yes, that's right. Phoenix Labs announced they will drop the loot boxes in favour of a system they feel is more player-first. Design director Chris Clareau said, quote, "One of the things that we felt has not been the best of experiences is our loot box based monetization. We're going to be moving away from that as our primary monetization to more of a bespoke model like Warframe and Path of Exile, where you'll be able to choose and pick the things that you want to purchase rather than go through the gacha and box method. We feel like it's a lot more player first in how it works, and it also reflects a changing interest in the community."
So it sounds like this was a microtransaction model that Phoenix Labs settled on years ago and then never revisited. I mean, they did it because that's just what you do, I guess. So apparently the decision to remove the loot box system came in response to feedback from the community. It also came from the team's own internal discussions, and co-founder executive producer Jesse Houston decided Dauntless would not include them from here on out. He said, quote, "When we sat down, Chris and I were kind of the main drivers in this decision. We were just like, yeah, this article," referring to a recent Ars Technica article about loot boxes, "is kind of right. Let's move away from it. I think players will view that more favourably, so we're going to do it." So while all the rest of the general gaming news is that loot boxes are seemingly here to stay, this free-to-play game that you've never heard of is going in the opposite direction. It sounds to me like they just sat down, actually thought about how they monetize this free-to-play game, listened to the obvious negative feedback from the community and just went, hang on, maybe we don't need to do it this way, maybe we can do it a different way. A lot of these decisions for a lot of companies, maybe they just do things by default. They just think, well, everyone else is doing loot boxes, maybe that's just what you do, and then they just whack them in a game because it's an easy way of monetizing it without thinking too much about it, because why would they? They just want to make a cool game.
A lot of you might be thinking, who the cares about this game called Dauntless that we're never going to play anyway? Well, this is like the first step in the right direction. This is the thing that might gain a lot of traction. If it's one developer starts doing this, other people might jump on board. They did this on the back of reading an Ars Technica article. So, I mean, obviously the word is starting to spread, and I think like the more that people have these conversations, at least expressing the fact that we don't want the loot box systems in our games anymore, the more articles about this type of thing will crop up in the news, and then more developers will find these articles like they did on Ars Technica. In this situation, there might be a huge snowball effect, and then people will just realize that nobody wants these loot box type systems. Okay, microtransactions are still in the game, but it is a free-to-play game, and in my opinion, they can do what the they want. It's a free-to-play game. They need to make money somehow. I just won't play it at that point. It's where they add microtransactions into full-price games is where I've personally got the opinion. It's up to you whether you agree or not, but that's just how I sit on it.
What is Dauntless? Who cares? I don't play Dauntless. You know, those kind of questions. In answer to that, well, like Gaz was just saying, I mean, this could be the start of a snowballing effect. There's an awful lot of networking and communication that goes on in video games and just in the industry at large. I mean, the conversations that these people have with other developers at, you know, events and conferences and stuff, that's how these decisions are made. The decisions that affect you and the ways that you spend your money, they all come from within this community that talks to each other all the time. So the developers of this game have done this, they might be talking to other developers who will then go, hang on a minute, yeah, that's a good idea, we'll try and think of our own model. And rather than everyone doing loot boxes, they come up with their own different microtransaction models that just works for their game. And before you know it, loot boxes aren't as much of a problem anymore, although they probably still will be a pretty big problem. We did try and make it a good video this time.
I mean, it's positive. It's positive. Everyone's saying, all you guys do is give us bad news. That's because there's a lot of bad news. But in this case,
it's good news.
It's good news. You're welcome.
Yeah.
It was very aggressive, that one. You're welcome. You're welcome.
This is good news. This is good news.
Wake up, people.
Well, there you go. A game is actually getting rid of loot boxes. Is there any games you can think of that actually would just get rid of their loot boxes? Let us know what it is down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this every day. Another video right there which you could check out right now, and the link to Patreon if you want to support the channel. See you next time.